Hello, marhaba. Thank you for joining the podcast by Shلهوب Group. My name is Lynn Al-Khatib. I'm the VP of Communication and I'm your host. Today's podcast, The Art of Long-Term Vision, is quite a special one. It's a moment that feels like a perfect closing to a remarkable year. A year that started with a symphony of the future and then unfolded to be a true year of transition. A year where we honored a legacy of 70 years and where we looked with intention into what's next. A year shaped by Vision 2033, Bridging Horizons, which aims to take us into the future with purpose, with impact, and with courage. We wanted to end the year as boldly as we started it, with deep reflection, celebration, of course celebration, and an exclusive conversation with two people who are at the heart of our story. Michael Chalhoub began a new chapter as executive chairman, carrying forward his lifelong commitment to stewardship. Throughout the year, we have seen him as the coach, the guide, the guardian of sustainability, the voice of partnerships, and the steady presence we all lean on. Michael Chalhoub stepped into CEO role with momentum, ambition, and a focus on delivering the first year of Vision 2033, from Dubai to the US, from the GCC to Europe and Latin America. He has begun driving growth, ignite transformation, and shaping the next chapter of our journey. In today's episode, we dive into legacy, time, and becoming. We talk about letting go and passing on. We explore the future, purpose, and hope. Bاتريك, Michael, this is truly the last, but certainly not the least podcast of 2025. Welcome and thank you so much for giving us time and an hour almost to be in the podcast. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you, Lynn. Hi, Lynn.
We're all very excited about this podcast because we all see you out there with our partners internally and externally. And we wanted in this podcast to bring a side that maybe we haven't communicated enough about, the personal side and the leadership side. So I'll start with you, Bاتريك, because this is the year of legacy and transition. What do you tell us what legacy means to you in the personal and also leadership context?
It's difficult to understand the meaning of legacy for me. But when I think about legacy, I think about people. I think about community. I think about family. I think about generation and transmission, and it's all about it. But I think also about values, this value of respect, this value of being innovative, creative, this value of excellence. I think about quality, not about quantity. I think about how can you give to the community and be into the giving mode to the community, and then how it could be reflected and impacting others. I really think about the impact which you could give in your personal life, in your business life, to the community in general, and obviously to the people and to your family.
Beautifully said, Bاتريك, and I believe that you've definitely delivered on the quality, as you said, and also the quantity. We're celebrating 70 years. You had 45 years as well, leading the business, and a lot of real value to the community and to our partners and everyone. So thank you for inspiring us all. Being part of Shلهوب Group, but also Shلهوب family, I think for both of you, I would like to ask both of you this question. When was that moment that you felt significant? I wouldn't say the heaviness. I want to be positive. The significance of carrying the Shlهوب family name. Maybe we start with Michael and then we go to Bاتريك with this one.
Sure. I mean, the first time that I got brought into the Shlhoob offices was really special to me. And I was a young boy, probably age, 3 or 4 or maybe 5. And I was presented to all of my grandfather's colleagues as the person that will, potentially lead this company
no
going
pressure.
forward. For me, what was really special about that moment is that I can see, through our colleagues' eyes, that there was a real responsibility that had to be taken very, very seriously. And even if I was, that age, which I barely remember, but this memory, I remember it very vividly, where, it was a big, weight on my shoulders, but a positive weight. That was, given to me and where at the same time, my grandfather was introducing me to his colleagues, but also telling me that, this was a big responsibility for us that carry the family name Chalhoub, and for us that, are brought to lead this company with purpose, with vision, and hopefully with ambition to carry these families from one generational degree to another.
Wow, that must be really a big responsibility growing up with this. Tell us a little bit more. I know from your experience you didn't immediately start with the group. So how did that transition go for you to get back into Chalhoub Group?
Well, firstly, that weight, living and growing in Dubai, that weight was, always somewhat present. And it's true that, throughout my years in primary school, middle school, high school, I still felt that weight somewhat. Then, growing out of Dubai, when I was 17, I first moved to Paris, and then I moved to the US, to Latin America. And so, growing out of Dubai, I felt perhaps slightly less pressure, but still a big weight of responsibility on my shoulders. And for me, to be able to learn from other sectors like finance, like consulting, being my own entrepreneur for a while and launching my own businesses. It was a huge school where I could learn leadership, I could learn critical thinking, analytical thinking, and all of that was especially important for me as I was trying to bridge that gap of experience between myself and where I wanted to be at some point in time as a potential leader. Now, can I say that I always knew that I wanted to step into the toes of the leader of Chalhoub Group? No, probably not, and not least of which, when I left the company in 2018, for me, I started a new adventure. I started a new experience, not particularly looking back. And the same thing went when I started my own company and when I was, very much attached to that business that I was leading. But for me, it was very much a great responsibility that was always in the back of my mind and which I've always, considered to be an honor if ever the opportunity came. And so come 2020 and the post-COVID years, I felt that responsibility was increasing, and I felt that I had more and more the necessary baggage for me to be able to continue bringing to this group what it deserved in a leader.
That's amazing, and we hear a lot how in the family you have to prove yourself elsewhere as well before you come. And I'd like Bاتريك to comment a little bit more on that, because it's true, when you came back, Michael, you were leading strategy, growth, innovation, investment, bringing all this entrepreneurship, future vision. So I would say that your personal experience outside contributed to this. Do you agree?
Yeah, firstly, I've always been an entrepreneur at heart. And, living in Dubai, which is a very entrepreneurial city, living amongst the Chalhoub leaders like my grandfather, Michel, my grandmother, Widad, my mother, who also launched her own business, and my father, obviously, was a great way to to have that entrepreneurial fiber in me. So for sure, when I came back into the group with such a long entrepreneurial experience, more or less 7-8 years of being an entrepreneur myself, was a real benefit, more in terms of the innovative vision, but also in terms of some of the leadership traits that I had started developing as an entrepreneur, as a leader of an SME. So for me, it was really important to, and I was also very excited about the innovation department, which, for me was something that could grow into something big with the launching of our own brands, the launching of our own startups, the ability to create value in terms of not just the partnerships that we brought on to the table, but also the equity that we built for ourselves. And so I was very excited about that. And my years as an entrepreneur has very much shaped the way I wanted to be as a leader and as a innovator when I joined the group within SGII and the JV functions. Yeah.
That's actually, entrepreneurial spirit is one of the values. And what you say is, some people might say actually an entrepreneur doesn't work in corporate, it won't work. But what you've built, Bاتريك, and with your parents or founders of the group, to keep entrepreneurial spirit at the heart, no matter how much we grow. So I do want you to answer the question on the family name on you, but also maybe focus how you were able to lead the group to grow. And it's a large organization now, while being able to have this entrepreneurship as a positive and not a negative. Because sometimes people say, oh, someone is too entrepreneurial, he won't fit in corporate. So tell me how you did that.
So to start about the fact of having the family name and the weight it could give, I have another part of the story than Michael, because when I was making my studies, I didn't intend to come to our business. I was intending to do something else to my life. I didn't feel the weight of carrying the family name. Probably my brother Anthony felt it much more than that. The first instance which happened was during the civil war in Lebanon. And during the civil war in Lebanon, it was like a wake-up call for me. My family, I felt, needed me and needed me with them. And therefore, I changed paths in order to join the family business and make my study in this part. And I never regretted it. And then I would say what triggered to me is that even when I was at college and making my study, sometimes meeting our partners, or the partners of my parents, I really felt that when I say something, they were taking it into consideration. It had an impact. So I felt I have a certain responsibility of saying something which is more meaningful, which is more interesting, because there were some expectation into it. And then it has grown up with time, but all the time in regard of the fact that I felt that I could give an impact to the people around me. I could have an impact on the outside people. And therefore, I had probably to make an extra effort in order to be able to develop it. Going back to the entrepreneurial part of it, it's true that the corporate world is not a word which also attracts me very much, even if I was leading quite a corporation. I always felt that we need creativity, we need empowerment, we need people to act as it is their own business, therefore to be entrepreneur. So I always hope that we are a big startup, even with 16,000, 17,000 people, and not this big corporation with very well structured. And the day I have felt, and sometimes with wake-up call, one of the wake-up call was in the time where Michael was in his mission. When I felt that we were becoming too much corporation, we needed to shift things to keep this entrepreneurial spirit. I really tried and moved into doing it. And the third thing which I would like to comment is for Michael, and perhaps it's a follow-up question when he took the lead. I'm a great believer that when you speak about succession, when you speak about transmission, it is not something which is necessarily from family to a family member. I think there is two elements which count a lot for me. What if the family member wanted and if he merited? So it has to be really something a person wants. And if he wants something else, my duty is to try to support them, to give them the best education and to support them in all their aspiration and dream. And he has to be capable of doing it because his responsibility towards the people and towards the other member of the family is very important. This is my view about the transmission.
I totally agree, and I concur, because even for the name of our communication department, you were like, don't call it corporate comms, Lynn, call it group communication.
Absolutely.
We don't want to be known as corporate. But also true, because even when people ask me like, okay, how does it feel to be in a family business versus a huge multinational before? And for me, I say it's the best of both worlds, because it's big enough, structured enough, with the right governance, but also not rigid, and it has the best of that family spirit and empowerment and speed to market. Like, we're super fast from idea, strategy to execution. And I always say that it's really something special, but it's done intentionally. It's not just a random thing, which is what I love, actually. We touched on learning, and you said, to have the merit to learn. And I know that learning is something very important, but we know that each generation learns in a different way. Corporates talk about, like 70, 20, 10 experience, theory, and etc. So from your experience, and this is to both of you, maybe Patrick, you can start with that. What do you believe will remain constant or consistent in how we learn and evolve as leaders, but also personally? And what do you see will transform significantly in how future generations will learn and evolve?
So to answer you, I'm a big believer that if you stand still, you are sidelined with time. Because if you don't evolve, your environment is evolving, and your environment is evolving in a faster and faster pace. And in order to keep on coping with this evolution around you, you really need to make sure that you are up to date in your learning, up to date through doing the business, up to date through the feedback, or up to date through education, but you are up to date through into doing the business and giving value into the term of doing it. And the best way of doing it is really by maintaining this curiosity, by maintaining this eagerness to know more and to evolve with the time and the evolution of time and the evolution also of your own activity. I'm also a big believer that what could change the world, like a small child, I still believe that it could change the world, but what could change the world is through your education and your learning. You don't give fish to the people, you give them the learning possible in order that they go and fish themselves into doing it. So I'm a big believer in education, in learning in all its different form, and this learning is absolutely essential. But to do it, you have to be motivated, and the motivation for me is really about the curiosity. What has changed quite a lot into the learning part of it is obviously the digitalization of all the learning, which make it quite different than the other learning which we could have seen. What have changed the world also, is to have podcasts, to have conferences, to have seminar, to listen, to have the chance of listening to some of the leader, of participating to those discussions and making it alive. But it goes back to the same thing. You need curiosity. You need eagerness that you want to learn, and then you absorb the maximum you could absorb. And the way of bringing it could absolutely differ from time to time. But the motivation, the curiosity must still remain.
Yeah, and that's definitely something internal that people have to be self-motivated. But speaking of curiosity and motivation, Michael, and learning, it's easy for people to say that, yeah, because you own the company, you're naturally more motivated, and we see entrepreneurs, they have a lot of drive. But we know there's so much more to curiosity and motivation as leaders. So what is your take on staying motivated as a leader in general, whether it's your company or you're in corporate or you're in any business? And how do you learn personally?
Yeah, it's a very interesting question. And, what I can say is that I've learned even more from some of my failures in the past than some of my successes. And back to what Patrick was saying, I do believe that we're in a business that's fast evolving, with the customer that's always constantly on the tip of her toes, trying to find new ways of enriching her customer journey and being able to bring a very different touch to her journey every time she shops with us. And so for me, it's about disrupting yourselves before getting disrupted by others. And today we are at a place where we've been challenged by a lot of the different e-com platforms. We've been challenged by disintermediation, and we need to stay on the tip of our toes and continuously keep on learning. For us to be able to stay at the top of our games and being able to bring the customer what she requires and what she wants and needs. So that's really, really important. Apart from that, I would say one thing that's really key is being able to have that human touch and being able to continuously learn on the go and on the job. And, for me, that, has probably much less years of experience than Patrick, and that all of, or a lot of our colleagues, at the very least on COMEX level, for us, it's really important to instill the servant leadership kind of pathway, which allows me to continuously exchange ideas with people that are subject matter experts and that can guide me and continue bringing their wealth of experience to me as and when we're taking decisions, even if that means that some of those decisions are not the right ones, because once again, I think we'll learn from some of our failures, but hopefully a lot of those decisions, being taken not just by myself, but by subject matter experts that potentially, work with me either, within the organization or outside as an external partner, will continuously bring to that experience and continue to make me understand and learn more from each of them.
That's very interesting, actually. It's learning from your teams and colleagues and partners.
And that bottom-up approach is really important. That servant leadership approach is really important because you're able to engage into healthy, constructive debates with some of your team members that are perhaps not just there to say, yes, you know everything and you know best, but they're there also and mainly to be able to challenge you, to be able to bring their wealth of experience, in the mix and to be able to teach you from what they've learned throughout the years.
Even the reverse mentorship, I know, like cyber, crypto, like AI, etc. I have some of the colleagues who are mentoring me who are 30 years younger than me, and I'm very, very happy to have them mentoring me in some of the aspects which I don't know.
That's definitely very, very inspiring and interesting. Since you're talking about people and partners and learning, I'll ask you a question maybe to both of you, which is about luxury and humanity. So, because we don't want to discuss too much business in the podcast, so we want it to be a mix of both. But what part of the future of luxury feels most deeply human to you and to our business?
Would you like me to take lead on answering?
Yalla, go for it.
Sure. Well, I think that today luxury is all about the experience, and it's not just the experience that you have in store or on the website, but all the experience around it, all the messaging that you've received from first time you've heard about the product all the way to after sales service. And so for me, that part is so important, and that human aspect within this part is probably one of the most crucial aspects. So for me, it's really about being able to blend that human aspect that we have in our everyday lives with, the craftsmanship around, purchasing a product, selling a product, and the luxury product even more so. So it's really important, and this is where, importantly, it's all about the people that surround us and that human touch that you get from your colleagues, from your partners, and obviously that belief that they have that you're achieving a certain goal and you're there to help them achieve a bigger objective than the one that you're looking at. And so honestly, for me, it's been incredibly lucky to be able to find alongside me some fantastic colleagues, some fantastic partners that look after the Chalhoub group as their baby, because they're part of that family. They're part of that extended family. And they've been so involved with the Chalhoub group that, they deeply care for it from, an emotional perspective. And they've been there to help and support alongside, the journey.
It was very heartwarming, actually, to see it in action this year. So, Patrick, tell me more about these human connections and relationships that you've built.
For our family and for our group, this human connection has been the base since inception of our group. Really, it's a question of how can we connect between a brand and the customer and the consumer and the people. How can we have connect between us and our own people? How can we together deliver an experience and a service? And it's true that we have gone through different phases in the life of the structure and the organization. We went through different phases because the Middle East has evolved and developed economically quite a lot, socially quite a lot, but also our customers have themselves developed quite a lot. But we went from phases where the understanding of luxury in this part of the world was mainly about an expensive means luxury means good. Or if I am seen with such a product, it is a reflection of my status. And we spent our time as a group always to go back to the reality of what luxury is, the craftsmanship, the quality of the work, the creativity, the innovation, and how we transmit it apart by the product itself, by our storytelling, by our people connecting with our customer and connecting with them. And in a world which became a world more digital than ever, this human connection is something which our customers are even looking for much more than ever before. So I'm very optimistic that we are coming back to an era where authenticity is important, where the quality is important, where the true elements what make a product or a brand luxurious is there. And my last point into it, we have seen a big shift, from where the brand were having the narrative to a moment where it's the customer, thanks to the social media, thanks to the digital, thanks to the amount of knowledge they have, is today detaining the narrative himself. And therefore, it's even more important now to create this connection.
So it's the reverse of the pyramid in both cases.
And what I was going to say is us as a group, we've also gone from a phase where our main customer, our main client was the brand, to a phase where our main customer is the end customer. Our main client is that person that we try to service in stores or online. And I think that's really, really important to have been able to make that shift. And a lot of companies have probably not managed to switch so much from that era where, we were quote unquote trading to an era where we were, retailing or enriching our customer journey and our customer experience.
Yeah, from distribution to brand building. And that's so true. So.
And customer focused.
Yeah. Okay, enough business. I will ask you next about fatherhood and love. So, the question is to you, Patrick, but also both of you are fathers. What was the hardest lesson you've learned as a leader and as a father, which has a follow-up to it as well, which is how and what emotions do you see this, or have you seen this year as your son took over the vision you've built? And finally, what advice would you give all fathers who are also leaders and ambitious people and want to grow in their career, but also show up for their family?
I'm sure we'll stay here till tomorrow morning.
So, I don't mind. We have
going
time.
About the fact of the most difficult things I have seen as a father and as a leader, I would say as a father, but also as a leader somehow, you are very protective. What you would like is to be able to give the answer and to give solution to your children and also to your teams as a leader. And the reality, which took me time to understand, it is not exactly this. It is more about making sure that we give the ability of our children or the ability and empowerment to our teams in order that they make their own decision, even if they make a certain mistake, etc. So being overprotective could be counterproductive, even if we think that this is what is good to do for our family and for our teams. It is really giving this space to our family, to our teams, in order to build their own experiences, even they make mistakes, and being here to perhaps support them, not necessarily advise them, but brainstorm with them, discuss with them, and getting the learning from it. This is your first part of the question. And the second part of the question was about
what advice would you give fathers out there who want to be leaders in their careers and grow, and at the same time show up for their family?
Which goes back to what I was saying. The advice I give: don't overprotect our children. Let us and our teams. Let us make sure that we give them more the ability to express their own identity, personality, giving them strong values, giving them strong beliefs, giving them strong roots in order to be able to do it, giving them the education or the learning they would like to have as an education and learning, and then give them this space which they are, even if they have to leave the company and go somewhere else, leave the family nest and make their own business. I would say this is advice I would give. But emotionally, it could be hard, because immediately it could.
I think this advice is for mothers and fathers.
Absolutely. I mean, fatherhood or motherhood, I would say, and probably even more difficult to convince our wives in order to be able to do it. And so, the third part of the question?
The third part is what emotions have been coming out this year when you see your son taking over the vision you've built?
This is something which I reflected on not long time ago. So I would say it gives me a lot of pride, because I consider that the transmission up till now is getting very well, and we are in a very good in the hands of Michael. So quite pride. Scare. I'm scared that is it, and the scare I have is not, is it a good decision or no? And I don't know if there is a good decision or not a good decision, because his decisions are plus or minus. Is that it gives too much stress and weight on the shoulder of my son. As a father, I have this worry since day one, where he accepted to take this position about it. I feel also the sentiment of, I would say, creating something which is sustainable for the long-term viability of our group, and a lot of satisfaction. Because probably, and I always have said it, is the most important element for me is how to create a sustainable business. And in order to create this sustainability, the transmission to a new CEO and to the future is extremely important. So it gives me this feeling that I have. And I will stop here.
We don't want you to stop, Patrick, but we do have time limits, unfortunately. Michael, you're navigating all of this as you go. Fatherhood, CEO, and leadership. So what's your take on, I would say, quality and quantity time and fatherhood?
I mean, for me, fatherhood is very special and very important, not least of which the relationship that I've had with my father from a very young age, but also the relationship that I've had with my son, who's now turning 8 in a few weeks' time. So,
happy birthday.
Thank you. For me, what's really important in this new sort of work-life balance that we're trying all to manage in the 21st century is to be able to spend some quality time with our children. And I think that this is so important, not just because, our purpose completely changes when you have a kid, but also because there's a lot that I believe we continuously learn from our kids. I think that not least of which we learn patience, we learn perseverance, we learn the ability to balance a few different priorities and objectives. And I think those are definitely big lessons of life that will be useful for us, throughout our lives, but also throughout our business careers. And I think this is really, really important and shouldn't be dismissed. So at a time where, weekends are entangled with weekdays and holidays are entangled with work days and everything is jumbled up, I would say make time, quality time for you to spend with, your kid as a father, as a mother, as a working parent, in any case. So, for me, this is something that's really, really important.
I would like to add 2 things, Michael, and perhaps I have never had the occasion to tell it. So one, yes, quality time, but it's quality and sometimes quantity time is important. Just being there for them without anything. This is what it took me time to discover. And my other point, the balance is not only between family and business, but also to give time for ourselves as well. It took me time to understand it, so it's something which at least I would recommend always.
Wow, thank you. I'm taking all this advice as well myself. So the question on love is, what does love mean in the context of leadership?
Are we going all kumbaya?
Maybe. Look, we're in between the plants and a little bit.
For me, love transcribes into care. Care for a company, care for their people, care for these people's families. And I think, the Shilhoob group, to the best of my knowledge, manages to do that, as much as we can. And I think a lot of our colleagues have this incredible care for our group. But a lot of us, leaders, we also care for our colleagues and for their families. And this is why, we try to enhance that work-life balance as much as possible and be able to, offer our employees and our colleagues all the care that they deserve for them, their families. As the Christmas period, comes about, it's one of my favorite, events is the Christmas party for kids. That is such a nice party that the Shilhoob group has always organized. So, for me, that love is that care, but a care that is genuine, a care that is authentic, and not just a care because you have to. And I think that's something that's really, really important.
I wouldn't differ with what Michael is saying. So it's love about our people, love about our customers, love about our partners, because it's for them or with them that we can do it. But love also about our mission and our job. We better love what we do if we want really to be able to do it.
I love that. So before we go into our last segment, which is rapid fire questions, I'll go back a little bit to business. One business question for you, Michael. Our Vision 2033, Bridging Horizons, it's about strengthening our partnerships that we have and in the region with our global partners. It's about scaling our own brands and omni-channel brands and becoming brand builder and brand owner, all the while powered by AI, operational excellence, and building capabilities, and obsessed with the customer, of course. What is the thing that excites you the most about this, and what fear do you have about this?
Well, I mean, firstly, I'm very excited by every segment. It's hard to choose, one of the segments, but I would say the one thing that we're not 100% there yet is that third segment, which you mentioned, being able to manage and build our own brands from scratch, and not just retail brands, but product brands as well. And I think that, that's something that I'm very excited about, because I think we're surrounded by incredible people, not least of which our colleagues, and we're capable of building that either through innovation or through investments, and so for me, it's really, really exciting, because we're going to be able to build our IP, build our equity, and not just build the equity of our partners in the region. And I think that's something that I'm extremely, excited about. I'm obviously also very excited about, the rest. But, this for me is something that's new, something that's a little bit different from, what the Chalhoub Group has been doing for the last 70 years. So for me, this is both exciting, but also, slightly scary, because there's always a part of you that wonders, whether you're capable of doing that, of taking on some new capabilities that perhaps you were giving back to your long-standing partner in Europe or in the United States. And today, this onus is on us, for us to build our own brands. And so it requires a new set of competencies and capabilities that I think we have, but obviously I don't know for sure. And so there's obviously that fear of not being able to succeed. But once again, I do think that we'll learn a lot through failures, and failed I already have a few times, and so hopefully we'll be able to get all the skill sets and be able to build some fantastic product brands and some fantastic assets for the group.
Okay, so now I invite you to look at each other, and this is the section which is rapid fire questions. So we have a set of questions for Michael to ask Patrick. Patrick, you will answer, and then Patrick to ask Michael, and Michael will answer. Ready? Who wants to start first?
I'll start.
Yalla.
What's a failure that turned into a gift?
For me, any failure, if we can look at it with humility, is a learning, and this learning is a gift. And I could give you a few examples. When we have put together a fantastic concept called Level Kits, unfortunately it has been a failure. But with this failure, we learned that we need to be more persistent, we need to move ahead, we need to continue. With opening certain markets where we have failed to do, we learned that we have to understand the rule of the market and to move forward. So every failure has a fantastic gift by getting the learning from it.
What's one lesson you've learned from me?
I learned a lesson of courage. Accepting the job which you have now is very courageous from you. At your age, you could have other ambition in your life, and you took a big responsibility on your shoulders. Your integrity and your sincerity in everything you do, sometimes by being even more rigid than ever I have been, is something I quite admire into it. I stop here.
What's one thing you've never said out loud before?
that I really appreciate that you have taken this responsibility, and I wasn't at all thinking that one day you would accept it. You went to other part of your, you were in love with sport and you were very active about it. I didn't thought that you would come back to the family business and to this job and do it as well. So I'm very appreciative to what I have done.
Thank you. What do you hope people remember, not about the group, but about you?
So you said perhaps one word which really touched me always. It's caring. Someone who is caring. And caring doesn't mean, as I said it before, being overproductive. Caring is really supporting people around me, my family first, but people around me to develop, to grow, to evolve, but even into the community. So perhaps someone who is caring and who who hopefully has given a certain impact to the people I love around me and perhaps a little bit further.
I'm done with those questions. Thank you.
So what is one lesson you have learned from me?
Okay, well, I mean, there are a number of lessons, but, I would say the number one thing that, I always take example on is your humility and your humanity. And I think, for a lot of us, it's fantastic to see a person that's, succeeded in a lot of your initiatives and your ventures, to be able to, be there for everyone and be human about it and stay true to yourself and to your values. I think that's something that's really important, to me, and I've taken quite a great example on how you've done it before. So
thank you. What's one thing you have never said loud before?
Well, I mean, I've said thank you many times for, having grown this business. But one thing I perhaps haven't said out loud is, this accomplishment of growing this company from a 100-person company to a 17,000 person company with such important values, with such an important great capabilities. I think has been outstanding and incredible. And I've often said thank you, but not often said, wow, this is unbelievable what you managed to build in
but
a
I
few
prefer
years.
the humanity. It is the humanity. Thank you. Getting into this role, what is the one thing you will miss most if you were not a CEO?
Being able to sleep better at night, I would say. No, to be
You see
honest,
why I'm worried about you being too much under stress.
yeah, no, but to be honest, it comes with the great responsibility, and that's something I'm happy and proud of taking on. But it's true that for me, it's not the quantity of work that this year has been perhaps a little bit more. It's about, the intensity of the pressure on the shoulders and, somewhat of, I wouldn't call it the isolation because, in a way, I feel very well supported and backed up by all of our colleagues and by yourself personally. But this need for me to take on that pressure as the main executive within the organization, and I think that's something that comes with the job, and definitely is something that I miss from not having that. But apart from that, there's a ton of things that I take a lot of pride and am extremely happy and humbled about, not least of which being able to sit on the shoulders of giants like Isaac Newton has said, and being able to rely on people like yourself, like your mother, my grandmother, like all of our fantastic colleagues that have a wealth of experience and knowledge, and that are able to bring that knowledge back, into the mix.
I told you also that I was always worried that you have too much stress, but I must recognize that you are really able to handle it in a very quiet way, and you don't portray the stress around you, which is quite fantastic. I have to recognize. If legacy has a sound, what would it be?
Well, probably the symphony of the future, right? No, but more importantly, I think that if legacy had a few words, it would say things like stay true to yourself, be your own self, your own authentic leader, because that's who people will recognize you to be, and then carry that weight on your shoulders, but use it for you to be able to improve upon yourself and upon some of your people, and to be able to use that wealth of knowledge and of experience to continue disrupting yourself.
I totally agree. I would see this consistent music which get stronger and stronger and stronger. So really this reflection of symphony of the future. But I like to remain very true to ourselves while continuing disrupting yourself. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Patrick.
I have to say, wow, myself. I loved this interaction. It's so beautiful, so inspiring. I am very honored and inspired to work with both of you, honestly. Thank you for your time and for sharing so candidly, unscripted, and so beautifully from the heart. Thank you very much.
No, thank you for organizing this, to you and your team, Lynn. And I think it's definitely very interesting, and I've learned a few more things today. So if we can do that, I would call it regularly, but at least once a year. We're all definitely up for it. So
amazing.
Thanks
amazing.
a lot.
So there you go, everybody, learning through a podcast. I hope that you will love this podcast as much as we all love it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for following the podcast by Shilhoob Group. Send us your feedback and share the love. Bye.